As we continue our draft day special, with the fifth pick of the 2000 NFL draft, the Baltimore Ravens select running back Jamal Lewis, University of Tennessee. What was that day like for you, man?
Oh man, it was awesome. I was at home, with all my family, and I did not go to New York. I did not know what was going to happen.
Right.
But it was one of them days where, I didn't know where I was going to fall or whatever. But family around me, my mom, my dad, just everybody, So and getting that call, I think my cousin called first, so we had to hang up on him, and then all of a sudden we end up getting that call from it was Ozzy. Ozzy called first,
Okay.
and when I was in his office when they was doing the team visits and stuff, he asked me. He said, "What sets you apart? What sets you different?" And I told him, I said, "Well, if I'm drafted to come to the Ravens, I'll be as good or better than the best backs in the AFC."
Right.
And he made me repeat that when my agent gave me the phone, and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know that we're about to take you with our fifth pick, and here's Art Modell." And I jumped on the phone with him, and that was, I was always a Jim Brown fan,
Right.
so Art Modell, Jim Brown, their relationship and everything else, being that he was the owner of the Browns at one time, whatever, it was awesome to be picked by them, so it was a hell of a day, man. I didn't stay at home and watch the rest of the draft, but
Right.
I think I was walking around Lenox Mall by the time they got to pick number 8.
They say at that point it was like nothing else needed to be said or done. That was
Yeah,
it.
it's done, but it's not done. It's time to go to work.
Yes.
So that was the next thing. Hey, what time? When do I got to go to Baltimore? And that's when the journey started.
And so I'm quite sure you was the first running back pick that year. Were you projected to go that high, or was it just
No,
okay?
no, I was definitely not projected to go that high. We had a lot of running backs that were in the first 2 rounds.
Oh,
But yeah, in the first 2 rounds. So it was a great class of running backs. But I played 25 games in college. I was injured most of my sophomore year. I left early as a junior. So who knew where I would fall?
right.
But when I went and I ran a 4.38 40
Oh,
at a
wow.
40.5 inch vertical, I think that took my stock all the way up and really separated me from the Ron Danes, Deshaun Alexanders, and those guys.
Right. So how much were you weighing when you ran the 4.38?
I was 231 to be exact. 231.
That's a lot of speed and a lot of man coming at you at that speed. So,
Hey, I know at the combine I was about 240. And
okay.
I wasn't running at the combine. I was just
Right.
gonna lift. So I can remember getting up I remember getting up on the I remember getting up on the stage, and they was doing our weight. They were doing our weight. And as soon as I jumped up there and it said 240, the whole room just said, "Ooh." So I was like, man. So it's crazy because I ended up didn't know at the time, my future running back coach, which was Coach Simon. Ended up
Okay.
talking to him, and he said, "Hey," "Hey, 240." He said, "Ooh, that's heavy." I said, "Where you want me to be?" And he said, "You was about 235. You had your best years here at Tennessee, 235." I said, "Well, I'll be 231 at my pro day,"
Right.
which was 8 days later.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, when I showed up, I got on the scale at the pro day, and it said 231. And I looked over there at Coach Simon, and I winked my eye at him, and I said, "I told you." And he told me, after that, he said, "When you did that, I knew you was a man of your word, and that how bad you wanted it, and you was the player that we wanted." So
That's
that was what's up.
and so what are you doing now?
Now I got 2 companies right now. One is BioConnected. We do store installations, so store resets which is like cross merchandising, moving product, you know, in departments. Lowe's is one of our biggest customers. So we do a lot of work with Lowe's around the country and Total Wine. And then I also have Southeast Exhibits and Events, which is a trade show exhibit company. We're exhibit house where we fabricate and build trade show booths for companies going into a trade show conference.
Okay.
So
and if anybody needs trade show stuff, how can they get in touch with you? Because I believe in promoting each other. So how can they get in touch with you if they have any banners, pop-ups, anything like that?
oh yeah, any of that info at southeastexhibit.com. Southeastexhibit.com. Info at southeastexhibit.com and our website is southeastexhibit.com as well.
All right, now I'll make sure to put a link on this episode so they can reach out. Well,
Absolutely.
Man, hey, I appreciate your time, bro. It's always been a pleasure just talking to you, getting to know you and hanging out, and continue much success to you.
Hey man, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on anytime.
Yes, sir.